Hello Gstars and welcome back to the channel. It is your guy Oba and today we are sinking our teeth into one of the most talked about political interviews in a long time. The man of the moment, the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi sat down for an exclusive chat with Arise News' very own firebrand journalist, Rufai Oseni. Rufai came prepared with the tough questions that have been flying around on these social media streets, touching on everything from Obi's political movement to his past record as governor and the current state of the nation. Sir, a lot of people have questions and we need answer. Now, let me allow you to watch.
My pleasure having you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rufai.
This interview will be to clear a lot of things people have against you. They say you do not have credible economic growth alternatives. For instance, they say you have just criticized President Tinubu's government, but you have not given alternative or what you will have done or subsidy removal, as regards subsidy removal, as regards floating the naira, and as regards other things that President Tinubu did to stabilize the economy, which were bold measures. What will you have done?
Rufai, I was surprised when you said this is about Christians. They should have even said some things that I did that was positive, or I said I was positive.
You heard that? Rufai set the stage perfectly. This wasn't going to be a friendly chat. It was a hot seat session. The first major point of connection was the economy. Critics have accused Peter Obi of constantly criticizing President Tinubu's government without offering concrete, workable alternatives, especially on tough decisions like the subsidy removal and floating the naira. Rufai put this to him directly, asking what exactly he would have done differently. Obi's response was quite interesting. He made it clear that he has always been in support of removing the fuel subsidy, calling it an organized crime. However, his main issue was with the execution. He described the current government's approach as haphazard and lacking a clear plan. According to him, you can't just announce a major policy shift like that without first putting measures in place to cushion the effects of the people. He argued that the savings should be visible and immediately channeled into critical areas like health, education, and poverty alleviation. It is a classic case of it is not what you do, but how you do it. Relax and take a watch.
But let me tell you, I've consistently maintained that I would have removed the fuel subsidy. If you go to my manifesto, it's there. Steps I would have taken to do it in an organized manner. There was nothing wrong in removal of subsidy. What is wrong is the haphazard way in which it was announced and implemented. Everybody knows that the subsidy regime was a solution of criminality, that there was a lot of corruption around everything, which you need to bundle that aspect out of it, do it in an organized manner. And since you're doing it for savings, we're told we're doing it because we don't want to continue to borrow to continue the subsidy. And the removal of it will be able to have available funds to be invested in critical area of development. We've done these things. Billions saved. Where is it? Where is he invested in those critical areas of development?
They said they've given the money to the governors. That's what.
No.
They said they've increased their FAC allocation.
Rufai,
They said most of the states are able to pay their bill.
everybody knows what critical areas of development is. And I say it morning, afternoon, night. It is education, health, and pulling people out of poverty. Rufai, is any of these three hasn't improved? No.
The Minister of Health said they're getting new primary health care centers. As regards education, they said they have done NEL Fund, where they give student loan to people. As regards infrastructure, they talk about Postal Road and all that.
Let me just finish, Rufai. What I'm saying is, If you look at this, so you have removed this. People are paying more for fuel. It has escalated the cost of everything, and we are not seeing where. The same thing with what you talked about, issue of Naira. There's nothing wrong with floating your currency. There's nothing wrong in even devaluing your currency. But Rufai, you do this when you have productivity. What devaluation or floating does is that your currency becomes, in terms of value, low. You attract investment. Your products becomes unmarketable. But then where we are unproductive, you have nothing to sell. So it's a double whammy. So in all this, I would have done the same thing in an organized manner. And when people say alternative economic policies, they're there.
So what is this organized manner?
So what do you guys think about that? Was his explanation solid, or is it easier to talk from the sideline? Let me know in the comment section. Now, let's get to the real gist. The part that had everyone talking, his time as governor of Anambra State. Rufai brought up the heavy accusation first, the Pandora Papers, which linked Obi to offshore accounts. Obi's defense is that the trust was a legitimate inheritance plan for his children, set up long before he became governor. Then Rufai hit him with the claim made by his critic, including the current governor of Anambra State, that he didn't leave the state in a great financial state, that he didn't conduct local government elections, and that his investments, like the one in the brewery, were not as smart as claimed. This is where Obi became very passionate. He challenged anyone to prove that he owed any contractor or pensioner by the time he left office.
Let's talk about your records. And these are the criticisms.
Yes.
They say that when the Panama paper came out, they say you didn't declare some of the money you had offshore. They said when you were governor, you keep saying, oh, democracy and rule of law, but you didn't do local government elections. They also said...
Can I take them one after the other?
Take them one after the other.
Let me take issue of Panama Papers. Pandora Papers.
Pandora Papers, sorry.
No, Pandora.
Yeah, Pandora Papers.
Let me tell you, Rufai, I have a clear, legitimate trust, which is allowed in law internationally, to be able to plan for inheritance purposes. And it is documented and everything. It was there, that company, which you can trace, moved from one company to another, started Asaba in the 90s. And it's interest, it's not something you can do. In the 90s, Rufai started about 96, 97, I'm not clear, but I can tell you, until I became governor 2006. So it was a clear case of over a decade before I became governor. But that process, I started saving in a bank, Lloyd's Bank, and that came out of resources which were earned by a company I was running abroad, Nest International Limited, which is a subsidiary of Nest International Nigeria, my company in Nigeria, which was duly declared. When that came out, it became news. They said, oh, that a place they found money where I owned about $500 million. I was actually investigated.
By the FCC?
By everybody said, oh, they found a place where there's 500. Before I replied, I said, if you go there and see 3%, I didn't say 10%, 3% of what you claim, or you mentioned, life imprisonment. Rufai, do you think I can tell you, go and look at what I declared when I became governor. I was already a bank chairman, everything. Naira, at that time I became governor, was about 100 naira to $1. Till date, the money in the said savings is about, I don't even know where is the one that belongs to me is up to $15 million. Rufai, do you think it was $15 million that I've stolen since then and kept? Is that the amount of money people are stealing in Nigeria today?
But they talk about the investment in the brewery.
No, let me finish. We're talking about Pandora Papers. Let's do it one after the other. So what they did is that people blew something that is out of proportion. Rufai, that I saved, say, 100 million naira.
He boldly stated that he left money in 3 different accounts: Access, Fidelity, and Diamond, and that he has the documents to prove it. He even went as far as claiming that under his watch, Anambra became #1 in education and made significant strides in poverty reduction according to the UN. He essentially framed the attack on his records as propaganda from people who are uncomfortable with his style of leadership.
When he said brewery. Let me tell you, Rufai, I'm happy you're asking that question because people have talked about breweries and everything. Rufai, if I tell you what I suffered for that brewery to be built in Anambra State, you will not believe it.
Not to do so.
I had to go out trying to attract business to Anambra State. The biggest revenue earner in Enugu State is Ama Brewery. Ama Brewery in Enugu. The biggest earner, call it revenue source for Anambra today, is that brewery.
But you said the government stake that he invested had gone down, that it was not smart investment. Those are some of the things they say.
Thank you very much. I wish other people in Nigeria invested in something that went down. That's not smart. I said the biggest revenue earner, the revenue source, is that brewery. That brewery is employing at least directly 500 Anambra people. That brewery is at least giving food to over 5,000 Anambrarians. Those who use that business, distributors, truck drivers, everything. I wish people are doing that. What we do is that we condemn what is that. Because of the way they've been treated, they are the biggest brewery in Ogun State. Have you ever heard anybody say in Ogun State, oh, the brewery is this? They have a bigger brewery in Ogun State.
They say you brought poverty to Anambra. Those are the criticisms of Lagos State Governor recently. So they said, they say about they said, I think they accused you and they said under your tenure, poverty did increase and all of that. So you had no moral right to go to John Hopkins and talk about poverty.
You are talking about narrow interest and narrow assessment. Go and look at Nigerian Competitive Index. Go and look at it. Before I was governor of Anambra State from 2006. And I was impeached. So you can say I was governor of Anambra State from 2007 to 2014. 7 years. I was effectively governor for 7 years. Because the first year I was removed, as you know. So I was governor for 7 years. Rufai, Nigeria as a country was a signatory to the global measure of development, which is Millennium Development Goal. That is a global thing. Nigeria was a signatory to it.
Yeah.
That is what made China to pull 439 million people out of poverty.
Finally, Rufai touched on the chaos within the Labour Party and the perception that Obi is a weak leader who can't control his own house. Obi pushed back, saying, what some people see as weakness, he sees as the virtues of tolerance, patience, and dialogue. He insists on bringing people to the table for discussion, even agitators, because that's the only way to build a unified country. So guys, what a session. We saw a Peter Obi trying to re-establish his narrative and counter the claims against him, and a Rufai Oseni who was determined to ask They had questions from the economy to his governance, the Pandora paper, and party politics. It was a full-blown political examination. The big question for you is, was he successful? Did he clear the air, or did he leave you with more questions? Drop your thoughts, your hot takes, and your analysis in the comments below. I really want to know what you think. And as always, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to Oba's Trending Gist for more exclusive analysis. Until next time, stay informed and keep the conversation going.